The vial's cold light died the moment the warded pouch sealed. The trembling in the stones quieted, not stopped, quieted, like a held breath, waiting for permission to scream. It stays with me. Anyone who reaches for it loses the hand. That is not a threat. It is the operational condition of your survival in this dungeon. Darling, you wound me. I handed it over, didn't I? Cooperation personified. The resonance in that vial. I need you to understand what I am telling you. I have felt that signature before. 6 years ago. The night my twin died. The clinical mask Vex had worn since the descent cracked clean through. What was underneath was not grief, it was recognition. The specific, nauseating recognition of a wound you thought had no name. Tell me again, slowly, your twin. What were the circumstances of their death? The dead remember what the living choose to forget. I chose to forget. I should not have. Thorn moved without announcement, 3 strides toward the open passage, as if the dark below had called him by name and he had finally answered. Aldrich moved faster. No, you do not go down there alone. Not now, not until she is finished with you. Struggling, low and urgent. You don't understand what's waking below us. The roots know what the branches forget, if the warden fully rouses before someone manages it. Across the chamber. Stand him up, both of you, now. Maren had not planned to show them, but trust, once visibly broken in someone else, becomes a mirror, and she had been watching herself in it all night. Measured, each word placed like a stone. I found this on Dorian's body before any of you reached him. I have not disclosed it. I am disclosing it now. Very still, the laughter gone entire. That seal is broken. You've read it. And it's addressed to you. I can see your name from here, darling. Long silence then. By the oaths I no longer hold. Maren, what does it say? She folded it. She pocketed it. She met each of their eyes in turn, and she said nothing, which was, in the end, the loudest answer she had ever given. We go deeper. I lead. The questions you want to ask me, you will ask them when we are not one door away from whatever Dorian agreed to carry. Raw. The dead remember what the living choose to forget. You taught us that this investigation has no safe hands. You may have just proven it applies to you. The sealed letter lay between them like a blade. Aldrich had not raised his voice. He did not need to. Grave, deliberate. By the oaths I no longer hold. You will read it to us, Maren. Every word, or I will not stand between you and whatever waits below. You are making a threat, Aldrich. Consider whether you mean it. I have never been more certain of anything since the day they stripped my order from me. She read, every word in her own cadence, clipped and without inflection, as if reading a report on someone else's crimes. Controlled, stripped bare. When Dorian carries the vessel below the second threshold, extract it before he surfaces. His death must appear accidental. The dungeon provides sufficient explanation. Leave nothing that points upward. Darling, you wound me. That is exactly the briefing my client gave me. Word for word. I did not write this letter. Tell me again, slowly, where your client gave you those words. Vex did not ask permission. They pressed 2 fingers to the letter's surface and let the necromantic trace flow. The ink carries a necromantic resonance signature. It matches the vial. It matches the signature. I traced the night my twin died. Raw, barely controlled. The dead remember what the living choose to forget. Someone has been using the same working, the same hand for 6 years. Then Dorian's murder, your twin's death, and this letter share a single architect, one who knew all of us well enough to arrange us here, measured, no longer performing warmth. I met my client once, a tall woman, gray hair, pulled tight, and a brand scar on her left wrist, the kind inquisitors earn when they are quietly discharged from service. Every eye in the chamber dropped to Maren's wrist. She did not pull her sleeve down. She did not look away. Low, precise. This scar is 20 years old. Anyone who knew my record could use it as a description. That is not evidence. By the oaths I no longer hold. I want to believe you. I do not know if I can. While they argued over who had wielded the knife, Thorn had already chosen the door. He had always been moving toward it. Lo, the roots know what the branches forget. You were never meant to follow this far. What lives below, it already knows my name. Root and bark erupted from the stone, sealing the door with a druidic ward that neither spell nor blade could unravel. Thorn was gone. And from somewhere beneath, something answered his descent with silence. Stripped urgent, the first real crack in her composure, he sealed it from the inside. He knew we would stop him. He has known since before Dorian died. Thorn's ward was old-growth magic, deep and patient. But necromancy doesn't negotiate with living things. Vex pressed the scar into the stone and asked the dead instead. The signature is the same. This ward and the vial and my twin's death, one hand wove all three. I'm going to need everyone to step back. Vex, what does that cost you? The dead remember what the living choose to forget. I intend to remember everything. Passage below the third door had been walked recently. Torches freshly set, the floor swept of the centuries of grit that coated everything above. Someone had prepared for this descent. These marks, how old are they? Fresh. Days, not months. Darling, you wound me when you're surprised. We've known Thorn's been lying since the hollow chamber. I know what I've known and when I've known it. Keep moving. The sanctum was the dungeon's heart, the place all its corridors eventually pointed toward. And Thorn was already there, waiting at the altar, like a man who had rehearsed this moment for months. I knew you'd get through. Vex's pain is deeper than my roots. I didn't expect anything less. Very quiet. Step away from the altar. Do it now, and do it slowly. By the oaths I no longer hold. Thorn, there is a second vessel. You put it here. I wrote the letters, both of them, yours and Aldrich's. I used a seal I had forged from a contact in the capital. A copy of your seal, Maren. 6 months ago. Each word its own blade. Who gave you the seal? Name them. Tell me again, slowly. Earthy rasp. A woman. Last heir of House Varek. She came to me in the old forest and said the warden's vessel needed to come home to be contained properly, that if it left Varek's maw above ground, everything the inscription warned of would occur. The roots know what the branches forget. I believed her. Suddenly raw, all clinical calm. And my twin? Was my twin part of her plan too? Barely above a whisper. Dorian wasn't meant to die. He was meant to carry the first vessel to the sanctum and set it in its cradle. The plan was to relieve him of it, quietly, once he reached this level. Someone changed the plan. Someone killed him first and took the vessel themselves. Very still, warm tone. And your Varek heir? Is she in this dungeon right now? She said she would be watching. She said she is always watching in Varek's maw. The roots know what the branches forget, and I think she is the root. Then the second vessel on the altar began to hum, and from somewhere beneath the stone, or perhaps from the stone itself, a voice rose. It knew all their names. Sanctum held its breath. Thorn stood before the altar like a man who had finally run out of forest to hide in. The Varek heir. Name her fully. Lady Erin Varek-Sorel, capital archivist. She never let the bloodline die. She only planted it somewhere no one would look for a Varek. By the oaths I no longer hold, I know that name. She reviewed my disgracement records. 6 months ago, I sat across a table from her. Ink's necromantic signature is consistent, but the letter form is a copy, not an original. Someone studied Maren's hand from official correspondence and reproduced it. This required archival access. Quietly, almost to herself, every letter I filed with the capital passes through the archive's recording office. She would have had years of my handwriting to study. A pause, the parchment lowering. Tell me again, slowly, how long Erin Varek-Sorel has been in that position? 11 years. She planned this long before any of us were involved. The roots know what the branches forget. I thought I understood her design. I was the branch. X did not need to touch the second vial to know what it held, or rather, what it didn't. It's empty. This vessel has never been filled. The dead remember what the living choose to forget. Thorn, you brought us here to open the one Maren is carrying. Quiet, no laughter now. Darling, you wound me. I carried a live warden inside my coat lining for how many hours exactly? A beat. Someone should have mentioned that. Urgent earnest. The altar binds it. If the vessel is opened here at this altar, the warden is contained within the sanctum, not released. Aaron told me this was containment, not destruction. I believed her. Thorn moved before anyone saw the decision cross his face. 52 years of patience, and it broke in a single step. By the oaths I no longer hold, you will not. The warded pouch tore. The vial struck the floor and skated across stone, silver light trailing behind it like a dying comet. It hit the altar base with a sound too small for what it carried. Nobody move. The crack did not widen, it deepened. And from somewhere below, not in the stone, not in the air, but in the space between them, something drew a breath. Barely a whisper. That resonance. That is the same signature as my twin's death. Not similar, identical. The dead remember what the living choose to forget. A long pause. It was never just a warden. It has been feeding for decades. Flat with terrible precision. The vial is still sealed. The crack is a response. It knows the vessel is close. She does not look up from the floor. Aaron Varek-Sorel fed it your twin. She fed it Dorian. She has been feeding it names the capital wanted buried. Broken from the floor beneath Aldrich's grip. I didn't know about the feeding. I swear on every root. I only knew about the binding. She told me it would sleep. A long silence. The roots know what the branches forget. I was a fool. The vial did not shatter. It rested against the altar's base like a sleeping thing, and from the crack beneath it, the sanctum exhaled. One slow, vast breath. The walls shivered. Nobody move. Not one step until I say otherwise. Moving won't matter now. The roots have already found the vessel. The warden knows it is here. X did not think. They dove for the rolling vial and caught it with both hands, and the necromantic resonance inside detonated through their palms like a death remembered at full volume. Ragged, involuntary gasp, then clinical forcing through pain. I have it. It is contained. The dead remember what the living choose to forget, and this thing remembers every death it has ever fed on. Low, alarmed, the last stripped out. Vex, your arms. Darling, you wound me just watching that. Can you hold it? The inquisitor's ward fire recognized the forged signature as a wound and treated it accordingly. The letter became ash. The crack sealed with a sound like a held breath, finally released. Evidence burned. Symbolic severance completed. I will not let someone else's version of my handwriting be the thing that ends this. Dull from the wall. You bought minutes. The warden's breath is only held, not stopped. It will resume when the suppression decays. Slow without hope. The only true sealing requires both vessels destroyed simultaneously above ground. But carrying the vial past the warden's threshold, the exit passage will break the partial seal. The warden will release fully the moment it crosses. Light cadence cracking at the edge. So whoever carries it out essentially rings the dinner bell. Darling, you wound me. Is there a version of this plan where the volunteer survives? Only if the second vessel is destroyed at the same moment from inside. One above, one below. 2 hands, 2 locations, 1 window. Tell me again, slowly, which of you is willing?